Good morning, guys. So we're out here on the trap line today, and I want to do a quick tutorial on just how to do a dirt hole set. We've been doing quite well with raccoon and fox on these, so I want to go over it. But first I want to talk a little bit about location, and we can get more into this in future videos. But where I'm at right now, you can actually see a road comes down, it splits at a Y right here. So this is a prime location because we've seen a lot of tracks coming through this road, so we know animals are traveling that. So the best thing you can do in that is pick one of the corners, or if it's a real big intersection, sometimes multiple corners, and set. So in this case, we're going to pick this corner over here, and this is where we're going to set our trap. So I'm going to get the camera repositioned, and we'll get started. Okay guys, so this is the corner that I'm actually going to trap at this Y intersection. And what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to go over what I'm going to be using here, and then we'll get a close-up of me actually putting the trap set in for the dirt hole. So right here we have a Duke 1.5 coil spring trap. We're going to be using that. I actually have these earth anchors, which we can go over in another video. That's already pre-placed here. I usually do that before the ground gets too frozen because it makes it too tough to try to get trap stakes in and the earth anchors in. So I like to do that before trapping season, have everything ready to go. We're going to use peat moss because the dirt's starting to freeze around here, and we have some wax dirt. We'll flip back and forth depending on if we feel like the animals aren't hitting for some reason on the peat moss. But peat moss is real easy. You're going to see it sifts real well and it's easy to use. And then we have our baits and lures in our trap bucket, which I did a video on that not too long ago. You can go back and check that out. So we're going to get the camera repositioned, show you up close the traps, and we'll go from there. Okay guys, so here's the hole, and this is my preset earth anchor, which I have right here. So initially, what you want to do, of course, if this wasn't already dug out, you want to dig this down a little bit. Now you really can't tell, but this facing this way, facing where I'm actually at, is where the animal would approach this trap set, because this is all woods and there's some debris back here. So I have a little bit of a knuckle here. I need to actually get that out. I need to cut this down a little bit. And the only reason this is here is because when I put these in, I didn't care too much about it at that point. So we need to make this appealing so the animal comes in this direction to our trap set. Okay, so first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my digging tool here, and I'm actually just going to break some of this up. Now there's a lot of controversy around, do you wear gloves, do you not wear gloves? I honestly don't wear gloves too much. If I'm going to do something with coyotes that I think are being a little finicky, or if we're going to do something with bobcats, things like that, then by all means I might throw some gloves on. I would say if you have some kind of heavy perfume or cologne or something on your hands, do it. But I've been out in the woods for a couple days skinning stuff out, so it's pretty stinky. Okay, so I opened this up quite well. Now a big thing is fencing, which we'll talk about in a little bit. I'm not too concerned with that right now, and a lot of people go overboard with that. You need just enough that the animal can't get in a different direction. Alright, so all this dirt that I actually broke out, I want to throw behind the set or on the sides of the set like this. And as you can see, it's starting to form a little bit of a area here, a trough. Okay, so we're going to take, this is a Duke 1.5 coil spring, and we're going to attach this to our earth anchor. Now the more swivels the better, because when the animal's in the trap and they're moving around, twisting and turning, it's actually allowing the animal to freely move. So you don't want to bind it up too much, otherwise they injure themselves, cut themselves, and then there's a possibility of it getting away. So you want to make sure that this earth anchor is really tightened down good. Give it a little tug. Now, my trap's already set, and you want to make sure here, as you can see, our pan isn't set straight with our trap, so I want to adjust that so it's nice and level. Okay, now the chain, you just want to push down into the dirt, and I want to get the trap somewhat orientated to the dirt hole where we're going to put the dirt hole. So we can just use the back of our digging tool here to make our dirt hole. And I'm actually going to make this, you can offset this a little bit for some sets. Sometimes you could just put it straight back. And it doesn't have to be too deep. You just want to actually make these sets look as if there's something down in the ground for most of these animals, and it'll intrigue them. Okay? So we have our dirt hole, which I'm going to show this a little bit up close too then, at a different angle once we get it all set. So our trap's in. Make sure it's good embedded. You don't want it moving around too much. If you have it moving too much, a possibility of a miss. So we're going to take a pan cover, And these are just the mesh pan covers. Place that over the pan. Okay, now I have my peat moss. Okay, and the reason like I said, I'm using this because it's starting to freeze up. So if you dig up the dirt and there's moisture, your trap set is actually going to freeze up on you, and you're going to have a slower set, and that's when you start to miss animals. So you just want to sift this over, take a look, and then gently brush that dirt. You want this to look nice and even. So I'm actually going to take a little bit more peat moss here and set. And if you could still see that pan cover a little bit or the trap a little bit, just make sure you're getting it in there. Now, I like to sprinkle whatever's left on the outside of this. Now, a lot of guys will say, you know, you want your lowest point in your trap set, your pan, and I do agree with that. Okay, so you really want to make this, like I said, appealing. Think about if you're an animal, easiest path, the path of least resistance, that's where you want it. Okay, now as you can see, this looks real nice through here, nice and clean. There's a little bit of the debris from the peat moss around the edging, and we have our hole. So what I'm going to do next is we're going to take some of our bait, which is just a fish mixture, and drop that down the hole. And then I'm going to take some sheep's wool, okay, and we're going to take a lure, and we're just going to place some lure, okay, behind the set. Now, I don't like to do too much more with the set. I'll pretty much leave it like that. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a stick or two in this back section and fence it in a little bit, as you can see. Okay, and I'm going to reposition this camera in a second here, and I'll show you the front of this set, what this actually looks like. Just make the front of your trap so the animal wants to actually come into it. And then this material that's around the sides, as you can see, all that I did was took what was around and pushed it towards the edges. This is going to force the animal to come through my set right through here. Okay, if this wasn't here, they can come in. Of course, there's a log here. There's some debris and brush back there. So traveling down this road, this animal comes straight in here. The lure is going to draw them in, and the actual bait is going to make them want to dig down in there for it. As far as for resets of these traps, they're nice and simple. Usually if you have something in this, that day you want to reset it. We usually freshen our traps up once a week. So I'm going to get this camera repositioned now. We'll show you what the front of this set looks like without any of our gear here. And see what happens. Okay guys, so this is the front entrance to this trap set, okay? As you can see, it's nice and open for the animal here. And I don't know if in the last frame I actually got this, but I just took some of this debris that was laying here and just drug it over. And that's actually going to block the animal from wanting to come in this way. They're going to take the path of least resistance, which would be right through here. Same on this side. I just pushed a small stick here. And in the back we have a log, and as you can tell, there's some leaves and stuff. You can always push these forward like that, okay? Now, if this was more of a mound, by all means, you can make that hole look more appealing to the animal, but we have our lure, and this is what we're looking for, the animal to come right through here. Okay, so this is our trap set, this is our dirt hole. I wanted to go over this. I am going to do some videos of just how to basically set your traps, the different types of traps. We didn't start water trapping yet, so we will talk a little bit about that when we get there. This is the primary type set that I use for most of my trapping when I'm doing any type of land trapping. We can talk about blind sets and stuff down the road, but if you're a beginner, this will work great for you for raccoons, fox, possum, skunk, anything like that. So this is Dan Wowak with Cold Cracker Bushcraft. Thanks for joining me.